Hello, soul sister. Here we are again for another wonderful episode. And we have Jill Schultz in the house today. Jill and I go way back. I'm so thrilled to have you here.
Thank you. Very excited to be with you.
And the topic is a huge one. It's about shame and releasing shame. And we don't talk about shame a lot. It's a word that I use a lot in my work. However, we have not had a lot of people talking about this particular topic in the way that you're going to be speaking about it. And I am just so thrilled not only to have you here, I'm just so happy to have your voice and your sharing of your journey to impact these women to have extraordinary lives. So thank you for the work that you're doing in the world and being here today.
Thank you. That makes me a little bit emotional. So thank you, Junie. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited that, whether or not you believe in God or not, I'm a Christian. So that's how I speak. God has asked me to speak my truth. And, now I get to share my story and impact people and let them know that if this is their story too, or they have a version of any type of shame, that they get to release that. So thank you.
Beautiful. So let them know a little bit about you. So Jill, after years of praying for her purpose, she realized her life's work is to release people from shame and change the lens through which people see how children act out from sexual abuse. After years of deep personal work, she realized she's not alone and has been able to let go of the debilitating shame and self-loathing that has kept her paralyzed for the last 41 years. Jill brings this taboo topic to light so that people can get beyond the shame and live the life of their dreams. You are so the person to hold the torch and to share this. And I also just want to honor how you just even began about, I speak from this place of your relationship with God. And for all of you, including myself, that has my own version of God and spirit, find what works for you. Don't miss out on the message of what Jill has to offer today, because it's so important. Let's not let semantics get in the way or our beliefs get in the way, because shame is universal and we all have our flavors of it. So why don't we just dive in? So how has shame shown up in your life?
Yeah. So first of all, I'm a little bit emotional today because you and I do go way back, and you have been with me. We've been doing this now for about 4 years together, I think. I'm sorry. It's been about 2.5 years. But, if you're in Junie's community and you are looking for love and transformation, actually really being okay being single, because I'm 55 years old, I've never been married, and I'm looking for my person and he's coming. And the more that I do this work around shame, the closer he gets to me, because the more I know I'm worthy of that love. But I just want to honor you, Junie, because you've been really pivotal in my growth through all of this and getting to this place now where I get to share my story. So thank you for who you are to me. And if you have Junie in your life, you are blessed.
Oh my God. Now you're making me all emotional. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You for saying that.
You're welcome.
Been beautiful being in the container with you. And thank you. So let us in, honey. Let us in the journey of shame in your life.
So it's so funny too, because the more that I tell my story, and this is what's so important, is the less power it has over me. So before I couldn't even get through this conversation without crying. Like it was, so emotional, but because I've said it so many times, it's losing its power, which is why you need to say things out loud and get it out. But I was sexually molested when I was about 3 or 4 years old. I don't know exactly. I really don't remember who it was, and none of that matters. And I'm so grateful that so many people are getting a voice now around being able to say out loud, this happened to me, and expressing that. But where my story is a little bit different, and only because I'm saying it, the statistics around sexual abuse is around 1 in 6 women have been sexually assaulted. So it's staggering numbers. But my story is really about unhooking from the shame of what happened afterwards. And because of what somebody showed me to do and taught me to do, I was the little girl who innocently and curiously experimented with other children. And the level of shame that I have lived with, I just in the last 2 years have been doing some really deep transformational work. And I finally have been able to let that go. And I didn't love myself until I was 53 years old. Like 2 years ago, I didn't love myself, you know? And so just being able to say out loud, if this is your story, you're not alone. You're not alone. Okay. And it's way more common than people can think. And then if, you know, everybody has secrets. We all have secrets. And, you know, really being able to bring love into your life or bring happiness into your life and be living a life that you love and, you know, that you deserve. It really starts with getting those secrets out and letting them go. And if you don't mind, Junie, I want to tell a really quick story that's totally relevant to this, because I remember I've done therapy, I've done Landmark, I've done this program called Hardcore Leadership, which is what I've recently been doing. And it's where I've gotten a ton of my healing. Shanda Sumter. Yeah. But I remember when I would go to the therapist, and it was like the first couple of times that I would go in, and I knew that I was facing this, and I knew that I had to tell him that I acted out sexually with other children. That pit in my stomach, and just what is this person going to think of me? They're going to think I'm a monster. They're going to see me as a pedophile. Mind you, I was in between 7 and 12 years old when all of this was happening. So I was a little girl, and I had this thought in my head that I was a grown ass person. Sorry, I swear, Junie, I apologize.
Feel free to fucking let it fly.
I had this idea in my head that I was a grown person when I was just a little girl, but going into those sessions and knowing that I had to tell, the level of compassion and kindness and love that I got after sharing my story to this day still blows me away. So if you have a story, see, I get emotional.
Yeah.
Please talk to somebody, because you are going to be surprised by how you're received.
Yeah.
And how just getting it out is such a relief for you.
Yeah. You know, I always say that shame grows in the dark. And and knowing who to share it with, and knowing that it is a safe container to share it. There's so much freedom that I know I have experienced by shining a light on my shame. You know, that's why my film is called Shed the Shame, where I got naked and body painted. It's like, here I am, here are my thighs, here are my boobs. I'm not hiding anymore. Because when I was hiding, it was like, I'm ugly, I'm not lovable, I'm not worthy. And it's a journey, and not everyone should necessarily get naked and body painted and not go on podcasts and go, I was sexually abused. You know, it's like, if there's one thing I hope you're listening and hearing, Soul Sister, is if you have a secret, if there's something that you're scared of sharing or owning, it's like drinking poison, and that will keep you stuck and not having the opportunity to have joy and deep connection and all the juicy things that you want in life. So by you revealing your journey and your story, Jill, I mean, you're giving people permission and guidance to say, hey, secrets hurt, share them, heal them, and love yourself.
Yeah. That's, the saying, we're only as sick as our secrets, right?
Yep.
And one thing I want to encourage people to is, look at the fucking hard things in your life and take them head on. If you can step into that hard thing, I promise you what's on the other side is pure magic. Like, I feel like right now I have this blank slate in front of me, and I get to create this amazing life because I've finally taken it on. I've healed from it. And now I get to help other people heal. So I get to look at my abuse as a blessing, for me, that's how I get to look at it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember thinking about that years ago. Like, my dad, he died when I was 14, and, I didn't want him to die. I would have chosen him not to die. And there were gifts that came from it. So there are reframes, there are ways to look at it. There's healing. I am just curious though, from your perspective, because it is secrets are pretty friggin' powerful. And the older they are, sometimes the more toxic they can be.
Yeah.
How did you have the courage to really face this? And what might you offer to this woman who might be holding something that's really uncomfortable? How do you muster up that courage?
Yeah. So there were, I'm sorry, my nose itches from the crying.
Yeah.
There were a couple pivotal points in my life that I realized that I needed to start addressing what had happened. One of them, I was about 33 or 34 years old, and I knew that I was not connecting with men. And so I'm like, I need to talk to somebody, because I know that there are reasons. And so that was kind of the first step into looking at what had happened to me and being brave enough to, address it. And then I was healed, of course, after those therapy sessions. And then at 41 years old, I was bulimic until I was 41 years old. So, and bulimia is a byproduct of sexual abuse. Bulimia, self-harming, anorexia, children who act out, promiscuity, like there's lots of different things that are parts of that. And at 41, I'm like, girl, you're still making yourself throw up after you eat. You need to get this under control. And so then that's when I went in for my second therapist. And so those two were pivotal things for me to really look at it and say, okay, I need to really take a look here and see what I can do to heal.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is a lot of pain, a lot of suffering. And you just kept noticing, that I always say, people say, where do you start? And I say, well, awareness, awareness that things are not working, awareness, like you said, of your challenge around men and intimacy and connection. And, oh my God, I'm still throwing up. So, one takeaway right here is what's not working for you, and what might be something that's getting in the way, and what might you be holding, and what might you want to change. And one tool is therapy, and not all therapists are the same, and not all therapists are going to have the magic bullet. There's lots of different roads to Rome. Yep. So what else have you done to heal from your past trauma?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, I did therapy, and I did therapy. The first therapist that I saw, I did in conjunction with Landmark, and that's Landmark Education. If you don't know what it is, you can Google it. It's a deep transformational program. And that sped up my therapy by 100 years because of how I got to look at it. And then I was healed for several years. And then at 41, I went back to that therapist. And he was the first person that put it into perspective for me. He said, who do you know that's 12 years old? And I thought of my niece. He goes, do you think your niece reasons like an adult? Do you think she acts like an adult? Do you think she thinks like an adult? It was the first time that I got to give myself permission to go, holy shit, I was a little girl and I've been holding myself as an adult in all of this.
Yeah.
And then of course, you and I have done some work together as well. And, Junie, I remember doing an exercise with you about standing outside of myself, which was so powerful for me.
Yeah.
And then I've also done the Hardcore Leadership, and I did 2 programs in there. And I don't know if it's because it was when I was really, really ready to release everything, why it was so powerful for me, or if that program's just super powerful, but it was life-changing for me for sure.
Yeah. A lot of those things are so beautiful, and you learn different things in different places. Landmark is going to have their own slant, and for sure gives you different perspective and helps you see things through a very different lens, as is shadow work or all the different modalities.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you shared was, and I was healed. And then several years later, and I love that because it's true. It's like, okay, I got to the mountaintop. Woohoo! Oh shit, there's another mountain, and to have compassion for our journeys, because that little 12-year-old or 5-year-old or 10-year-old that's living inside of us, there are layers to the healing. There is that journey of self-discovery and being ready to look at certain things, because sometimes, especially when it comes to trauma, especially when it comes to sexual abuse, that we need to go slowly. We need to have that good support to be able to do the healing work.
Yeah. And another thing too, like I'm 100% on board for paying for coaching. Like that is what gets you next level. So find yourself a beautiful coach. You're in Junie's community. Like attach yourself to this woman and never let her go, because she can take you to the next level. You know, it's important to have somebody that you can rely on, somebody that you can get completely vulnerable with, and somebody that you know is going to hold you in that space and love you no matter what.
Exactly. Because I didn't get here by myself. I had some amazing mentors, amazing therapists, deep transformational work, and I still continue to have people
peel the onion.
Peel the onion. So you've been through so much, and I am just curious, what, aside from using your voice and helping people with your story, what specifically are you doing to help people heal?
Oh my gosh, thank you for asking that. So this is a brand new journey for me. You know, God has been asking me to speak my truth for years, and I kept saying, hell no. And so just this last June, I finally was like, okay, this is what I get to do. And trust me, I came up obstacle after obstacle after obstacle. One of the things that was really a big obstacle for me was legal issues. I had to find out if I was going to be held legally bound by saying that I did these things. And
well, I remember when we were talking about you being on the podcast, you're like, I need to look at these things. I mean, because it's the reality. Yeah.
One attorney told me that, yes, I could be charged as a felon. And then, yes, I could be registered as a sex offender. And so that shut me down. In fact, I went to the darkest place I've ever been in my life. I literally thought, maybe I should be gone. Maybe this book should get out there and I should be gone, because there would be nothing stopping the word from getting out there, because I wouldn't be there. Like, that's how dark I went. And thank God I have a community of people like Junie that I could reach out to and be like, I'm struggling here, you know? Yeah. But beautiful things have emerged. And I actually, I'm doing a couple of things. I have written a book. The book is done. The book is at the publisher right now.
What's it called?
It's called Unshamed. We've made up a word, not unashamed, but un-shamed. And I do too. I hired a ghostwriter and she came up with that. And so that book is a compilation of many people telling their stories. Once I started sharing my story, it was unbelievable to me, the people that said, that's me. So I have several people that have shared their stories anonymously in the book. And the book is in 4 sections. That was me. I was like you, Jill. I was a kid that acted out. There's a healing section, because forgiveness is so important in your journey. To move forward and be open to receiving love, and to be open to receiving abundance, and to be open to receiving all those things. Yeah. And then I actually have a chapter in the book. My therapist wrote a chapter about what to look for if children, what conversations to have to prevent your child from being targeted. If your child has been abused, what conversations to have, what actions to take, things like that. Yeah. And then the last section is really, you get to have it all. Like, you were put here, and God, everything that's on your heart was given to you by God or source or whatever you believe. And you get to have those things. So now you get to step into believing that you get to have those things. So the book is one thing. And then I have a course too that I'm offering, and it's called Your Best Year Ever. Excuse me. A year you'll never forget. A year you'll never forget. And so what we do is we take them through, first month is called Brave, and you get to really look at it. And then we go into character and how your character shifts. Forgiveness is one, self-worth. So those are some of the topics. Yeah. So that's what I get to create now. Beautiful. Since I have stepped into this. Yeah. Thanks, Junie.
Great
thanks
tools.
for asking.
Such great tools. I do know you have a free gift, but before we go there, I'm just kind of sitting with, I mean, this is just such a huge topic, and there's so much, there are a lot of blind spots here. There's a lot of fear, even, you know, what you went through of like, what's going to happen if I actually even speak to this? And I'm going to ask you to lean in right now to this woman who might be saying, where do I start? I don't know. Like, if I want to share this at all, I don't know if I even was sexually abused, but I do know that I'm terrified, or there's something that happened, or, I'm just so shut down. And so like,
yeah,
to that woman who's holding so much right now in reference to where to start.
And I feel you. If that's you, I literally feel you right now. First of all, what you can do is write it down. Write it down unedited. Write it down like you'd be like terrified if somebody actually saw that piece of paper because you want to get it out. So write it down and then burn it. The next step that I would do is try and find somebody to talk to. And there are organizations out there that you can call, hotlines, like RAIN is one of them. There's also, I'm sorry, I should have put this in my notes to talk about, but it's survivors of incest. Like there are some beautiful organizations out there that you can call and just have space. They'll hold space for you to have this conversation. But I know if this is you, I know how you feel because that was me. Like I've been through all of those phases of emotions, and all I can ask you is just to be brave and be courageous and do at least one thing to get it out of you. Talk to somebody to get it out. Excuse me.
Yeah. So you've done this, and you continue to do this, and now you're encouraging them to do this. So what would you say is the biggest impact on your life because of your ability to stand in this fire, own it, have the courage to look at it, speak it, and now share it? What's the gold silver lining for you?
So I used to have this dark cloud over my head all the time. This shame was just here all the time. And now I look and that cloud is gone. Like I have never been more content and more happy and more joyful than I am right now. And it's all because I looked at that hard thing in my life and I'm like, this is not going to fucking hold me back anymore.
Woo! Yeah.
Yep. It's not going to have power over me anymore.
Love it. I looked at the hard thing and said, enough of that. I'm
Yeah.
not letting you control my life. That's beautiful.
Anymore.
No more. I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy for you. And I'm so thrilled that you have found your purpose to be able to help others along the way. And I do know you have this awesome free gift, 6 steps to releasing and living unshamed. Can you share what that is?
Yeah, it's just 6 really important things that you can do. And it talks about saying it out loud. It talks about forgiveness. It talks about all the things that we've kind of covered today. And it's just in a quick outline for you so that you can go through these steps and you can do these on your own. So if you're scared to talk to somebody, if you're scared to even kind of look at this right now, this can be your first step into, putting one foot in front of the other for sure. I do want to announce, Junie and I are recording this in April, and April is actually National Child Abuse Prevention and Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So I think it's so powerful that you and I are doing this right now.
Yeah. I'm so glad. To shine a light on it, especially during this month. I also know you've mentioned your Unshamed book, and it's coming out. We're going to put all the links in the show notes. So you'll get her 6 steps in the show notes. And I encourage you to get that. Like, why wouldn't you? And you can pre-order, right? The Unshamed book.
Yes.
And we'll put that in the show notes as well. And can you talk about the Underground Railroad?
Yes, real quick about the book. If you do the pre-order right now, I'm going to be doing a 6-week book club for those people who did the pre-order. So it would be a place for you to come with people who are also struggling like you are. And there is power in numbers. So if you buy the book, in fact, I encourage you to buy it for your entire community. We want to lift each other up, and this is transformational work. So, I would love for you to be part of that. I am donating back 10% of my proceeds from any of the pre-sale books to Underground Railroad. And if you don't know Underground Railroad, it's sex trafficking. And I live in San Diego, and San Diego is a huge hub for sex trafficking. It makes me sick to my stomach to think of any person who could turn a child over in this sort of way. So I will be donating 10% of my proceeds for that. Excuse me.
So beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for this really important message of healing, releasing shame, and what's possible on this journey to face it and say, I'm going to look at the hard stuff and, screw you, hard stuff. I'm healing and I'm taking my life back. Yeah. You really are such a light. Thank you so much for spending time
Jeannie,
with us today.
Thank you. I love you.
I love you too. All right, Soul Sister, that's our episode for today. Please like and subscribe to the station. That's how other people find it, and that's how you don't miss any of the episodes. And think of your friends and think of people that might benefit from this. Grab the book, share it with them, and let them know about this episode, because these are the things that people don't talk about. Mm-hmm. And maybe by sharing this with your friends, it might open up a conversation that you never even knew was there. Yeah. So lots of healing to be had, lots of layers to peel back, and we do this together. We rise up together. So again, thank you, Jill. Much, much love to you. All right, Soul Sisters. Mwah! Have a wonderful day.